Today's video is a speed up process from yesterday's daily drawing called Twin God Empire, and while I'm showing you the video and showing you the process, I want to take the time to ask you a couple of questions about my YouTube channel, since it's quite new and experimental. The thing is that I'm pretty much freestyle and experimenting with my channel, as you can probably notice by now, and I'm bouncing a lot of ideas. I'm trying, new things. Pretty much everything is very little edited, and I wanted to take the time to ask you if you have any preferences on me showing stuff. Like, I would like to ask you basically if you enjoy seeing those things. Do you want me to cover anything else? Do you want me to mute those videos, or talk more in depth about my process, about my design mentality, how I come up with things and stuff like that? So basically I'm asking about your opinions, and I would like your feedback on my channel and how to make it as great as possible, because with each video I develop an urge to create even more. So I remember when I first started, I barely had the courage to post anything, and I was scared to talk and to say anything, and I was very hard on myself. And with each video, everything becomes a little bit easier and more natural, and I would like to know what you guys love to see, and how to push it forward basically. So if you have a couple of minutes to spare and have some ideas, feel free to write me a comment about what you'd like to see, what you'd like me to talk about, and stuff like that. So that would be very appreciated. Yes, so other than that, regarding the process of this video, you might notice that for today's daily, I had a 3D base, a rough one. Basically, I only had the main gate, and those two statues. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I start my dailies with a 3D ideas. And I'm doing it in 3D basically because I want to see how it looks like, if it's even worth pushing forward, if it looks good, if stuff like that. So but I don't like to do too much 3D, because I feel it kind of steals away that joy of freestyling and doing everything by hand, and doing those perspective lines and grids. And for me, that's the most relaxing and beautiful part of this drawing. So I'm trying not to lose it, and I'm trying to keep everything as traditional as possible. And that's only a preferred technique of mine. Some of you might like more 3D, and you might want to rely more on it, and that's totally fine. The technique is basically just a tool. It helps you achieve some results. So if you can achieve better results with more 3D, then that's totally fine. But in my case, I like freestyling a lot. I like to use my lines and my creativity in the 2D part more. So yeah, that's pretty much anything that's different from my other 2D daily drawings. So yeah, other than that, some general data about this. I think I spent around 4 hours drawing this, including the 3D. part. Actually, the 3D part was quite fast. I think I spent like top half an hour for it, because I just modeled the statue, I duplicated it, and then I created some blocky shapes to generate that gate. So nothing too fancy. And I used 3D code, sorry, not Cinema 4D. I used 3D code, and everything else was made in Photoshop. So and as you can see, I created my grids, my perspective grids, and afterwards I'm pretty much just adding the details and everything else on top of that. So I guess that's pretty much it about it. We're still halfway through, so anything else is just tedious details, adding some windows, adding some details. I'm always zooming in and out, and I will try in the future not to do this that much, because I can imagine how frustrating it is to see that as a viewer. So I apologize for that. It's just that usually I like to zoom in for details and then always zoom out to see if the overall picture looks good. So it's always a bounce between zooming in, zooming out, zooming in to put the details, zooming out to see if it looks detailed enough, or if I overdid it or not, or if I put too little details. So yeah, and as an architectural style inspiration, I used some I kind of thought about Babylon architecture and some Islamic with some Islamic influences. You know, all those ancient architecture style where everything else is made out of stone and those primitive materials. And you know, as always, I like to create those giant megalithic structures. You know, I like to imagine how I like to reinvent basically the past and think about how it might have looked and stuff like that. So that's what, you know, makes me wake up in the morning joyful and happy to work. So it's those things. I like to do those dailies, or at least almost dailies, because you know, let's face it, I don't have time every day to do those, or sometimes, you know, it takes more than more time than anticipated to do those. So yeah, like this one for example, because I spend around 4 hours, and usually I try to limit myself for I try to give myself 2 hours every day in order to make the client work as well as take care of my personal stuff. But since I'm a little bit free, I spend a little bit more time on this. But yeah, that's not gonna be always the case. So if you plan on doing this, you have to learn to manage your time as good as possible if you want to do everything. So yeah, other than that, we are pretty much approaching to an end. I'm adding the final details, and I'm trying some new things with the background buildings, trying to see if I should add more, and probably I will when I will render everything out. But for this piece, the only thing left for me to do is adding the shadows, which I'm doing right now. And everything is pretty basic engineering, you know. I put the shadows on one side and leave in light everything else. And I'm trying to create some cast shadows as well, not only side shadows. I'm trying to add as much depth and volume as possible, but at the same time I try to keep in mind that this is just a sketch and I will render everything. So I'm trying not to overdo anything and spend unnecessary time on things that won't matter in the future. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm keeping in mind. So thank you guys again for checking this speed process, and if you have some extra time, you know, leave me a comment about what you'd like me to do in the future, what you'd like me to improve and stuff like that, and show you guys. I do this for you, and every opinion is highly appreciated. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.